have a funny history of Jagged Alliance franchise. A close friend of mine is a huge fan of this series, and for years he has been telling me stories about how cool Jagged Alliance is. And he was complaining about how he misses such games, which was confusing to me because there are a lot of tactical RPGs, for example XCOM, Fire Emblem, Banner Saga, and many others. But after playing Jagged Alliance 3, I finally understood everything he meant. In many ways, it is a unique game that blends tactics with strategy, and both parts are equally important. This game quickly became one of my favorite tactical RPGs. Despite its solid performance on Steam, Jagged Alliance 3 was understandably overshadowed by Baldur's Gate 3, and I think Jagged Alliance deserves more attention. So let's dive into what makes this game so special. In Jagged Alliance 3, you take command of a mercenary squad tasked with rescuing the president of Grand Chillon, a fictional country. The president was kidnapped by a rogue paramilitary organization, the Legion. Basically, you need to take control of the country, find the president, and save him. There are two layers of gameplay. First, the tactical view, where you explore specific locations and engage in turn-based combat. And second, the strategic view, where you navigate the grand map, manage resources, and control territories. This interplay between tactics and strategy is what makes Jagged Alliance 3 so engaging. On the global map, you capture and defend locations like mines and outposts, which are vital to your success. For example, diamond mines are your main source of income. Lose them, and you won't be able to pay your mercs, essentially ending your campaign. The enemy sends squads to take locations from you. You can either defend them yourself, with your mercs, or train militia that defends territories for you. The strategic view in this game is not as intricate as something like Hearts of Iron, but it still has some complexity to it. In particular, it is important to capture and defend specific choke points, like ports, through which enemy squads go to other locations. Training militia at every location is quite inefficient, it takes time and money, so it is important to identify these choke points and set up a defense perimeter. If you do it correctly, enemy squads won't even get to your mines. Starting mid-game, it is essential to create a second squad. The map is just too big to do everything with one team. You need to create another one to defend your territories, and use the main squad to progress quests and explore. One cool feature is that you can intercept the enemy's diamond shipments and farm some money this way. Or you can intercept weapons shipments and get some nice loot. It's another reason why having a second squad is useful. Of course, there are other tactical RPGs with global map, for example Battle Brothers or War Tales, but Jagged Alliance is a bit different because you don't just move on the map, you conquer it. It feels like you're fighting against a greater force, against an army on a global scale. It is essentially a sandbox. The game doesn't hold your hand, you can do whatever you want, you can forget about the main quest and just play it as a war game. In a general sense, I would say that global map adds meaning to your actions. Your goal is more than just to kill everyone, it's to capture territory, for example a mine. So it gives a bit different meaning to what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're not playing a series of missions scripted by developers. It is your choice to go somewhere and do something. The tactical gameplay is similar to other turn-based RPGs. Each turn, each character has a certain number of action points based on their stats. There is a cover system, overwatch, and some mechanics that you can expect to find in this type of game. One difference is that the game doesn't show you hit chance in percent like in, for example, XCOM. Instead, you see negative and positive factors that affect your chance of hitting the enemy. But generally, as I said, it's relatively typical turn-based gameplay. However, there are some distinctive features. First, before you engage in combat, you play in real-time mode. You can initiate the combat by taking out some enemies in stealth. If you kill an enemy and no one notices, you continue to play in real time. But once you are seen, turn-based combat begins. I really like this mechanic because it makes the beginning stage of combat much quicker. In comparison, in XCOM 2, the beginning stealth phase is really slow and tedious. Additionally, you can position different members of your squad strategically and set up an ambush. Besides positioning, you may also need to evaluate enemies, in particular their armor. If you see that there are a lot of enemies in medium or in heavy armor, it is better to switch to armor-piercing ammo. Such moments are one of my favorite parts of this game. A perfectly executed ambush feels extremely rewarding and adds a guerrilla warfare vibe to this game. Another cool aspect is that mercs are heavily customizable. First, each merc has a unique perk. Some of them are extremely overpowered, others are not really useful. Second, each merc has personal traits that are not unique. Some of these traits affect dialogue options, others gameplay, for example, increasing the effectiveness of dual-wield shooting. Third, characters have stats that grow when you use them, for example, marksmanship, dexterity, health, and so on. When you level up a character, you can pick a perk. You can build your mercs as all-rounders or build them to do specific things like stealth, melee, or overwatch or something else. Finally, there are lots of weapons, and each is customizable, which further extends builds. For example, you can add a mod that decreases a weapon's range but also decreases action cost, so a merc can shoot it multiple times each turn. As you can see, there are several systems that allow customization. Each system is not very deep, but you can combine them in different ways to increase the effectiveness of each squad member. One thing I really like about this game is that you can make any merc, even the cheapest one, into a killing machine if you train them well. The last thing I want to mention about tactical gameplay is weather effects. There is rain, fog, sandstorm, maybe something else. Usually they decrease visibility, so it makes it harder for enemies to see you. It also decreases the chance to hit for both you and your enemies, and nighttime has the same effect. Overall, weather does not significantly affect gameplay, but in some situations it can be used to your advantage. For example, there is a thermal scope that eliminates decreased visibility. This is a very good scope for stealth snipers. I vividly remember how once I was attacking a heavily defended base during the night with fog, so for enemies it was really difficult to spot me. As a result, I was able to take the whole base with 2 stealth characters. As I said, generally the weather doesn't have a huge impact on the gameplay, but at least it adds some nice variety to fights, and in some cases it can be beneficial to wait for night or sandstorm before attacking a territory. Surprisingly, Jagged Alliance 3 leans heavily into RPG mechanics, offering choices that genuinely impact the story and your experience. The game has different endings with slides similar to Obsidian games like Fallout New Vegas, and even side quests usually have some choices. There is also a lot of exploration in this game. The maps are not just battle zones, you can explore them, look for hidden items, talk to NPC. The graphics is nothing exceptional, but the maps look really good, especially with weather effects. Additionally, there is a reputation system. You can build a reputation with various factions and cities by doing quests and defending territories. For example, you can become a leader of a local communist group. And reputation has gameplay implications. In particular, it affects income from diamond mines. There are also RPG mechanics specific to certain zones or quests. For example, for one quest, you need to break into a jail where you can free prisoners. Some prisoners are held unlawfully for their political actions or just some random stuff. If you free them, it will increase your reputation with your home faction. However, some people were imprisoned for good reasons.
I didn't do anything. She brought it on herself. I am the man, but she would not listen to me. She would only complain. What was I supposed to do? The bitch just wouldn't shut up. Just had it coming.
If you free them, it will decrease your reputation. So you need to hear their stories and make a decision. Developers added this mechanic for just one location. You cannot do it anywhere else. And such local mechanics are a nice touch. Stats and traits of your mercs affect dialogue options and actions in the world. For example, having a negotiator or psychopath in your party opens some dialogue options. Some stats, like wisdom or strength, affect your ability to do certain actions, such as moving a heavy object. This is fairly standard stuff. However, what makes this game stand out is that it is a game about mercs. Each merc has a personality, not only stats, but specific dialogues. They say different things to NPCs, but they also talk to each other. There are pre-established relationships between characters.
Okay, it's a deal. By the way, I hear Wolf is available, and I love working with him. I'd be so appreciative if you hired him too.
Almost every merc likes and dislikes certain other mercs. If you have 2 characters that like each other, it increases their morale, and they also ask for a raise less often. The opposite works too. Some mercs refuse to work with you if you have someone they don't like on the team.
You've got Fox on your team. Obviously, you're more interested in the sizzle than the steak. Call me when you're looking for something more than a pretty face.
This seems like a small thing, but it actually affects your playthrough. You can assemble a team of professionals, or bloodthirsty maniacs, and you will get very different dialogues. On my second playthrough, I tried to avoid hiring the same mercs I used in the first one, and I was surprised by how much it changed the way your team feels. I heavily recommend hiring mercs with relationships because it adds a lot. Not even necessarily mercs with good relationships. For example, in my first playthrough I had both Fox and Buns dislikes Fox. It was a lot of fun watching how we constantly argue. For a TRPG, Jagged Alliance free roleplay mechanics are impressive. Impressive to a degree that sometimes it feels more like a CRPG. In conclusion, what makes Jagged Alliance 3 so special is that it blends great tactical gameplay with strategy and RPG elements. It's almost like 3 games in one. Of course, it is mostly a tactical RPG. The strategic and roleplay mechanics are not exceptional on their own, but are complex and engaging enough. Each system comes together to create an experience that feels unique. Jagged Alliance 3 can be bought on sale for just $22, and I definitely recommend it if you like tactical RPGs. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.